Hello everyone, today we continue with Until We Meet Again. In the last episode, Farm remembered the scene of his ex-lover's suicide and broke the bowl in a panic. Those heartbreaking moments couldn't calm his heart. Dean rushes to comfort him and the two of them go to school together. Guilt-ridden Farm apologizes to Dean that he accidentally dropped his food and left Dean without food. Dean, with a wicked grin on his face, took aim at the fruit in Farm's hand and pouted that he wanted Farm to feed it to him. Farm had to shyly feed Dean the fruit to eat. Shyly? When they got to school, the two of them were sweet for a while longer. Farm's car was repaired, so he didn't need Dean to drive him. Dean was inwardly disappointed. As soon as he turned around, Farm shyly tugged on Dean's coat. This is the rhythm of being pampered. Sure enough, Farm told Dean that other than picking up and dropping off, he would keep the rest of his free time to himself. Is this a confession? Farm arrives at the classroom and realizes that all the students are looking at him in a different way. After asking his friends, Farm realizes that the scene of him tugging on Dean's coat has been captured and posted on the internet. Now, everyone is talking about their relationship. Farm was really speechless, even though he couldn't make breakfast for Dean anymore. Farm still gave his handiwork to Aaron. That way Dean could have a good breakfast, even if he couldn't make it himself. As long as Dean could eat it, Farm was very happy. On Sunday morning, there was a big noise next door to Farm's house, which made it impossible for him to get a good night's sleep even though he had wanted to. Woken up by the noise, Farm gets up and writes a post-it note expressing how disturbed he is and sticks it on the door of the house next door. Later, he hears movement at his door, opens it, and finds a bag of snacks with a sticky note apologizing and saying he will pay attention in the future. That's how Farm got to know his next-door neighbor. Completely sober, Farm decides to ask Dean to go to dinner with her. At that moment, Dean also called and asked Farm to have dinner with him. It seems that the two of them have a really good understanding of each other. This is kind of their first official date. Farm can't help but be a little nervous and asks Dean for advice. Dean's advice is also very good and suggested that the two of them take public transportation so that they can spend more time together. The two of them did go by public transportation. Throughout the bus ride, Farm was both excited and shy, ordering songs and listening to them with headphones on. Dean gently brought one for Farm. This scenario seems to be a must for a public transportation romance. Farm had a sudden heartwarming feeling, and this love grew stronger and stronger. When they arrived at the restaurant, Dean exchanged pleasantries with the store manager. It turns out that Brian, the store manager here, is a good friend of Dean's. Brian knows Dean very well. When he realizes that Farm is the one Dean is looking for, he rushes to send his blessing. After dinner, the two of them went to the underwater world, which is a treasure trove for lovers on a date. The dim lighting, coupled with the romantic atmosphere, is very convenient for couples to do something. Looking at Farm's cute back, Dean took a picture of him unconsciously, driven by the romantic atmosphere. Dean held Farm's hand. The moment his eyes met, Dean's eyes were full of tenderness. This is going to kiss up. At this moment, Farm's heart was also very nervous, but the kiss was interrupted by the passers-by. The atmosphere was suddenly a bit awkward. Farm asked Dean if he liked grilled fish to ease the awkwardness. It's a bit awkward for Dean to make such an obvious excuse at a time like this. The two of them ended the date in such an awkward atmosphere. When Farm returned to his apartment, he ran into his next-door neighbor Ben. The two of them have lived together for so long that this is how they got to know each other. Dean, who had returned home, then posted a photo of the surreptitious Farm on the internet with the caption that it was a cute kid with a spoiled flavor. This completely set the website forums abuzz. After all, both are very popular people. Core is our very shy Farm. This time is really no face. Even so, Farm still warmly brought breakfast for Dean, which made Win very envious as well. Dean also asked Farm to have lunch with him. After talking about lunch, bits and pieces came to Dean's mind. He calls out In's name offhandedly. When called out to Dean from the sidelines and asked the returning Dean who In was, he didn't answer. He just knew this person was important. Back in the past life, In chased Korn for a month, and Korn didn't even make any statement. This time, In asks Korn to meet him for lunch and says he won't leave until he waits for someone. Korn tries to control himself not to go, but he can't resist his heart's desire. When he rushes to the restaurant, In has fallen asleep on the table. Back in the present, it's lunchtime and the best friends have come along for the ride. There seems to be a bit of a falling out between Team and Win, and as soon as they meet, the two of them get into a fight. While eating, In held Farm's hand. In front of everyone, Farm was so shy that her heart was racing and her cheeks were so red that she couldn't breathe. That's when Dora noticed something was wrong with Farm and checked to see if Farm was sick. These teammates are kinda dumb and cute. Driving home at night, Dean has some more snippets in his head. This is the past life of into corn-soaked noodles, and really do not have the talent to cook. but also by Korn disliked a bit. In the end, where Korn went to cook the meal, Dean, at this point, has long been crying to death. When he arrived home and parked his car, he almost hit the wall. The school's open house is here, and of course, there's no shortage of dim sum made by Farm. Because Farm worked till late last night, the housemates told him to take a rest. Farm started by delivering trees to Dora and also Erin. Erin is really a good sister. She immediately sent a message to Dean. Dean also said that he waited for Farm at the School of Management until noon. At that point, Senior Glenn once again came running to talk to Farm, who once again turned him down and admitted that he was already with Dean. Little did he know that while saying this, Erin had filmed it and sent it to Dean. Farm, who has just arrived at the management school, is molested by a group of seniors. Dean immediately comes over to grab Farm. But how can these seniors let the two go so easily? They take a red string as a test, and Farm really draws the red string that binds Dean. It seems that some destiny is fate. Finally, the two can't be alone. Dean is very happy after receiving the video from Erin. Now, Farm can even try to deny it. Is this considered official dating? The necessary kiss for dating was also missing. Dean looked at Farm tenderly and kissed her tenderly. The relationship quickly spread on the internet, and someone took a picture of the two of them holding the red rope. Shy Farm didn't know what to do, but Dean was very happy and teased Farm about how cute you looked holding the red rope. Farm returns to the cooking club and is teased by the older sisters, and Farm sheepishly goes to work. The scene shifts to a past life, where it's In's birthday and In is going out on a date with Korn. His sister comes up to him with her knees and asks In what he wants to eat. In says he wants clear sour soup. His sister also tells In to come back early, so that he won't get beaten up by his dad when he finds out.
ครั้งที่แล้วที่พ่อจับได้เราโดนตบจนหน้าบวมเลยนะ
The scene goes back to this life, where Farm refers to the sauna as clear sour soup. As it turns out, it looks like Farm had a dream just now. Gina sees Farm in this state and directly tells him to go back to rest. Farm goes to deliver snacks to Team and meets Teen again. It just so happens that everyone is there. So Win suggests that we all go out for dinner. During the meal, everyone brings up the red row. Team also tells a story about a past life, which makes Teen and Farm think, at the same time, of images of suicide and swearing in a past life. They also said, I swear in unison. The scene shifts to a past life where In's father beats him for dating a man. Back in this life, Dean and Farm say, I swear at the same time, much to the confusion of the rest of the gang. Dean excuses himself by promising to take Farm home. When Dean dropped Farm off at his doorstep, Farm told Dean about the strange things that had happened to him at the cooking club. He also said that he distinctly remembered having a niece. Dean also badgered Farm about whether or not he wanted kids. Farm was shy, but before he left, he gave Dean a sweet kiss. Dean was in the car reminiscing about Farm's kiss when he picked up his cell phone and saw the message that it had died from a gunshot. The scene shifts back to a previous life where Korn is celebrating In's birthday and the two are still envisioning a bright future. Their new home is about to be ready, and when it is, they come moving together. In also gives Korn a keychain she made herself. At that moment, In's father rushed to beat him up, and In pulled Korn with him and ran out. What they don't realize is that Korn's father is right behind them. Back in this life, Farm wakes up once again with a tear-stained face. He doesn't know what he dreamed, only that his heart aches. Farm goes to bring breakfast to his neighbor Ben early in the morning, and also meets Dean's brother Fido at Ben's place. Fido calls Dean over, and along with him comes Brian, the store manager. It turns out that Brian and Ben are close friends, and Dean is Brian's good friend, Ben's direct schoolmate. That's how the guys got to know each other, to which I can only say it's a small world. Dean dragged Farm off to a world of two, because it was raining outside. Farm's heart was a little sad. He leaned on Dean's shoulder, and the clip of his past life appeared in his mind again. It was a rainy day, and Dean shared an umbrella. They were running in the rain, and although their clothes were wet, it was romantic. Back in this life, Farm asks Dean if he's ever heard of Korn. Dean's heart aches, and asks Farm if she's ever heard of In. The two look at each other in pain. Farm adds that the seniors had promised to find out until they met, and Dean responds that they have. The two finally settle down. Dean gave Farm the keychain that he had worn for 10 years, which was considered a love token. Farm treasured it so much that she got a chain to put it on. Dean gently put it around Farm's neck. Farm also gave Dean the key to her house. At this moment, Glenn, who is not dead set on seeing Farm, came over again. No matter Farm's refusal, he just wants to chase after him, and will not let go until his relationship with Dean is publicized. When the team saw this, they all got anxious. Luckily, Dean came over and formally told Glenn to stay away from Farm as his boyfriend. He was so blunt and open about his relationship, it really surprised the crowd. And Erin, the good sister, even made it a point to create opportunities for the two to spend time together. She directly asked Farm to come over to her house to teach her how to make desserts because her mom and dad are going back home. It's hard for Farm to say no. Not only that, Aaron also invited Dora and Team. Team was too hungry because he was reviewing his homework, so he went to the supermarket to buy chips. As a result, he bumped into Win and was taken advantage of by Win. It seems that this pair is about to be fixed too. In room 802, Ben's expression was grave. He received a call from Dean, who asked him to look into Kong En. The scene goes back to his previous life, when Kong's father beat him up. His father is a loan shark and he wants Kong to be a gangster like him. But Kong is a gentle nature. He can't do this kind of thing. He doesn't like this kind of family. Time back to this life. On Sunday, everyone is invited by Aaron and they all come to Dean's house. The task of making breakfast was, of course, left to the virtuous Farm. At this time, Dean has not yet woken up, and everyone unanimously recommends Farm to go wake up Dean. Farm saw a very familiar photo in the corridor, and he involuntarily burst into tears. The photo reminded him of his niece. Gathering his emotions, Farm goes to Dean's room. The scene shifts back to his previous life, where Kong is reading a book. When it comes to Kong with food and feeds him intimately, the two also make plans to go to the beach on Sunday. Back in this life, Farm calls Dean several times without waking up. He unconsciously gives Dean a soft kiss on the cheek. Dean suddenly wakes up and flirts with Farm for molesting him. Startled, Farm panicked and got up, but was pulled over and pinned down by Dean. The scene is so heart-racing. It's a sure sign that they're going to have sex. But the shy Farm was not ready. Dean had to use the kiss to vent a little. After dinner, when the guys were cleaning up the dishes, they learned that Dean was not on good terms with his father, and both of their expressions became serious. Farm approached to comfort Dean, because when people who love each other are together, perhaps they don't need too many words. Just a knowing look is enough. Just then, Farm's brother calls the video and asks which one of Farm's lovers is. Dean immediately went to the video and his brother called his mom. Farm didn't know what to say to his mom. At this point, Dean encouraged him not to be afraid. So, Farm bravely told his mom about his relationship with Dean. As it turned out, his mom didn't object, and she was very supportive of Farm, saying that it was fine as long as Farm liked it. Farm's mom finally asked Dean to take good care of Farm. This made Dean and Farm's mood as if a heavy burden was lifted, and they started to play around. This sweet scene was too much for the younger siblings on the sidelines. In this life, Farm's mom still chose to support her son, just like his mom chose to support him in her last life. But this time, will the tragedy of the two repeat itself? Can they change the ending of their last life? We'll see you in the next installment.